Hey, what is going on, guys? Ali here, and yes, I did shave today. Had to get this shit cleaned off, but that is not the point of this video today. Today is a review for Fire Force Season 2, Episode 18. I believe it's 18. This episode, I loved it. This is gonna be crazy to say. This might be one of my favorite episodes this season, or at least the second half of the season. I loved it. Everything from with what was happening with Iris and Shinra, which I figured that would actually happen, that like her, like, you know, faith was sort of like somewhat shaken. You see a bunch of people somewhat feeling like shaken in this episode of like, who do we really believe in and everything. And like, you know, the whole thing was so cute and also funny, like during that also, you know, with like, you know, Iris being all adorable and cute and everything with everything that she does and such, and then seeing Shinra's like creepy smiling face, which is just so funny. But that first, I believe it was like 75% of the episode was what was happening with Iris, or like around 60, 65, 70% or something, and then the other like 30% or whatever was just it was so funny. Like, the fan service was so funny. Everything was happening with Assault was laughing my ass off. He was like, they're making it out to be that Assault was just training like extensively and thoroughly and just like trying his like hardest, like working so hard. All of the evangelist people are like, he has finally completed his training, and it turns out like his eyes were like, the scene where his eyes were bleeding and he was just like, you know, watching porno and everything and reading magazines and everything, like, and not safe for work magazines and shit, and just looking at like at all of these like, you know, lewd, ecchi type of like porno type of stuff so that he can fight Tamaki again. Like, that was so good. Like, that was just, I was laughing like off I go. All of that was just comedy gold and everything. I like, Assault is like, oh my gosh, it was so funny that like he was training and everything with and like Arrow and the other guy who, like, you know, messes with like faces and stuff from the Avengers are like, he's ready. He's finished his training again. He's like, off I go, whatever. And then, oh my gosh, the amount of times I was laughing just because like Assault was saying off I go, because of like, you know, seeing Tamaki's underwear and such, or just her underwear just flying off of her, and he's like, how does this happen? He passes it out and everything, and she's like, what? And then he loses like several times to her, and then he admits at the end that he can't beat her. Like, it was so funny. It was so good. And when like Arrow and the other guy that changes people's like faces and whatnot, like just saying that like his training's like fully complete and everything, like your hardcore training from coming back and whatever. And even Arrow shoots her one of her arrows at her fire arrows at him, and he just like blocks it with one finger, and they're like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. He's finally finished his training. That doesn't matter, because he ain't ever gonna beat Tamaki when he's fighting her. Like, even the scene where he's like, I have to train to where, like, you know, like, porno's not the same as when you're actually experiencing it yourself, like, in the same vicinity of, like, an actual person. So then he trains by going to a club with, like, escorts and whatnot, like, looking at them and things like that, whatever. And then he goes outside on a day where it's windy and stuff, so it's like an amateur, like innocent amateur type of things that occur, like a skirt flipping when the wind blows and shit, like him hiding behind trees and shit. Like, that was so funny when he hid behind that tree, and then it shows like his eyes like blinding red or whatever. Like, it was so good. It was so funny. Like, I could not stop laughing. I'm like, what is this dude? Like, people are saying that like Assault is just OP and he's so strong and everything. He sees a panty shot, and he passes out. Off I go. That shit is so good. That was comedy fan service gold in that moment. Like, it was just phenomenal and amazing. So out of that way, that was just fantastic. Now getting on to, you know, what happened with Iris and Shinra, and that like Iris and Shinra are bringing all of the like equipment and weapons and stuff to get like, you know, baptized at the central church, the baptism church and everything. And like really Shinra sees like, first of all, he's just excited because he's walking with Iris. Like it's kind of like a date to the church with Iris, which is kind of cute and everything. If Hibana wasn't in the picture, I would be shipping Shinra and Iris like in general and whatnot. But like, you know, Hibana, that's my ship. Also, you know, Vulcan and Lisa are pretty certain like they're ending up together. Probably gonna get married at the end of the series. Who knows? I don't know. But anyways, like getting back to it, like Shinra knows that like, you know, something is up with Iris, and that like she feels awkward, like she has like an awkward smile, and he can actually see that like the way that she does things, everybody can clearly see like how she feels and what she's really feeling and such, because she has a terrible poker face like everybody dates, which was really funny to see that in this episode, that like she's like am I that like obvious and whatnot, and yeah, you kind of are. Oh my gosh. And like the whole thing with Iris saying that like, you know, showing her muscles, like she got some muscles in her biceps and stuff, and then Shinra freaking out that like I cannot see her skin and whatnot, like was so funny. But like just see Iris, like she actually got some muscle there, because like, you know, she always carries like a small amount of things that she needs to baptize to the church and everything, but this time there's like a lot, so that's why Shinra comes with her and everything. So like that was so freaking, like Iris is so freaking cute and adorable, and I love the girl. I love the girl so much. Like her saying that like I'm all good, like I have to keep up with you guys, like training my muscles and everything. Like she is so freaking cute. So getting back to it, when she is praying and stuff, she's messing up a little bit. Like, you know, her worldly thoughts are thinking about things and everything, and like seeing the other nun talking about that was, you know, it really puts in this perspective on something that like I knew what was going to happen in this episode, and that like it's okay to still believe, you know, just not in an organization, you know. Like, you can still believe, like, just what I believe the Lieutenant Han, I believe, from Company 1 was talking about to Shinra. Like, when he found out that, like, you know, the evangelists pretty much started the Holy Soul Temple, he was shocked, and he was filled with, like, you know, anguish, like, what should I believe in? But then, like, he starts seeing that, like, you know what? I believe in Karim. I believe in the great sun, the great soul, what helps so many people in the Tokyo Empire. Like it's just the belief in your faith and whatnot that really speaks to, like, you know, this episode, that speaks to Shinra and the lieutenant and everything, and what they were all talking about. And it was just a really good sentiment of, like, you can still believe, you know, you can, like, it just believe in your faith that you believe in and everything, and seeing Shinra talking to Iris about this and whatnot, like, it's okay to believe in the sun, in the great soul and everything, like, believe in your prayers and whatnot. Even though, like, in this episode you see that one of the fathers turns into an inferno, and the girl, or one of the nuns, is like, he prays every single day, like we pray every single day. Why does this have to happen to him and whatnot? And it's like, it's indiscriminate. Like, somebody who, say, isn't religious whatsoever or anything like that could live till they're like, I don't know, 90 years old and have a great life and whatnot. And then there's somebody who's extremely, like very religious and whatnot, prays every single day so many times, who, like, passes away at 40 years old and didn't have such great of, like, an ending to their life and everything. Like, it's something that's indiscriminate when it comes to faith and belief and whatnot. So, like, just to see that perspective of, like, you know, that sister freaking out in that way, and, like, you know, Iris crying, or not crying, but, like, she's scared, like, should I believe in the Holy Soul Temple or whatever? Should I believe in, like, yeah, believe in it. Just because you believe in that doesn't mean you believe in the evangelists, you know? Even though the evangelists, like sneakily is overshadowing, like, or surrounding this stuff, but you can just keep believing in the truth and the faith that you genuinely believe in. Like, you can still be, you know, a nun and a prayer. And this is what I was saying, that like she's still gonna end up being a nun, but not exactly following, say, the organization or like the organization that started the evangelist. She'll still be a nun. She'll still hold faith into what she genuinely believes in, and I really like that sentiment because it really speaks to like real life and whatnot. And I'm a guy personally who's, as somebody who's very who's religious and whatnot. I thought that sentiment was really good, and that Shinra was saying that like you believe in your own faith and genuinely what you believe in. Have faith and pray what you really believe in and everything to Iris. And then like him saying that Iris is pretty much like when they went to that cemetery with the flowers in the middle, saying that like the sunflowers face the sun to grow, and that helps like the people who passed away like have like a direction towards the sun and stuff. Like that whole thing was like really cool. But then like Shinra saying that like Iris is like the sunflower of the 8th, making her cry. I started tearing up too. I'm like, that is a beautiful, phenomenal like compliment that you could give her. Like that was the most beautiful thing ever. And then she's saying like irises aren't really sunflowers, Shinra, and whatnot. So that was like really cute and everything, very sentimental and great and such. And like it turns out like all of the sisters from that convent that her and Hibana grew up in, that's where they are in their graves in that cemetery. So they went there, and then like Iris opens up like the doors to go in there and like pray to the sisters, but then she sees like everything so extravagant on the inside, and that was so funny that like Hibana makes it very extravagant, saying like rest in peace and such, and like it was very cute and everything. And it turns out that Hibana actually goes there like very frequently and whatnot, so that was really nice. It really, everything at that central church was so heartwarming to me, and like it a little bit sad and serious because of like, you know, Iris kind of like being shaken a little bit, but then after she had that like very like sentimental emotional talk with Shinra and everything, like he's kind of like her rock, in that like if anything happens in her head and she's thinking about something that worries her, that like she's gonna go right to him to talk about everything. And like that was really beautiful and very like I loved it in general. And then him giving her a piggyback ride was so cute and everything. Like it was good. And like, you know, again, I really thoroughly enjoyed the episode. Like, I genuinely did. And Shinra thinking of, like, Company 7 with Benimaru and Conroe and everything, and, like, that's why that they are so strong, is because they have so much belief in, like, their faith and their belief in, like, you know, Benimaru and Conroe and just all the people in general, and like that's what makes them like very strong and stuff. And that was really cool. And you know, the ending of them like, you know, riding off, and then Shinra seeing the first pillar in Iris. Obviously there was a you know, a visual similarity to like Iris and the first pillar from the Materasu, and I think they're obviously connected somehow, but they're not the same person or anything. And like he said that like, you know what, or like Iris is like, you know what, if something ever bothers me again, you were gonna be the first one like to know and everything. He picks her up, which is just so cute and everything. And he's like, all right, if you have anything, you know, come to me. And then he looks at her and sees the first pillar in her and whatnot, which creeped me out. And then he said, I promise. And like, you know, all of it was very sentimental, very sad, very serious, but also very heartwarming and cute and adorable in that first half, or not even half. It was like 70% or something. And then the end, like the 30%, was just freaking phenomenal in like fan service and comedy. Like, Assault is super strong, but he can't hold a candle to Tamaki. He cannot beat her. I think he actually, like, even though he was training so much, I think over the time, I think he just likes her now or something. And that's why he passes out and he's like, off I go. And like, bro, that whole thing was so funny. All of it was good. From the first half to the second half, and it was just all beautifully done. This episode was fantastic and everything, and I loved it. And I'm excited for next episode. It's called the Oze family, Maki's family. I'm so excited. I'm so ready. Oh, I'm so ready for it. But anyways, what did you guys think about this episode? Leave down in the comments your thoughts about this episode, your thoughts about what I said and whatnot, and like just your thoughts about Fire Force in general so far. And like this video if you did, like the video if you liked anything I had to say, like the video if you liked the episode and everything, and subscribe to the channel for more reviews, vlogs, unboxings, live reactions, and table discussion videos and things like that. So gentlemen, stay classy, ladies, stay sassy, but most importantly, everybody, you gotta stay a little nasty, alright? So peace and love, and I will see you all later with the next video. Peace out, may the force be with you always. Plus ultra. Lato. And Lato. Peace out, guys.